Once upon a time, in a land rich and blessed, there lived a kind king and a beautiful princess. She was called Snow White, for her skin was fair. She had cherry red lips and raven black hair. The king felt one thing was missing from their life. Snow White needed a mother, so he found a new wife. The queen arrived with her luggage one day. They welcomed her warmly to come and stay. But the queen thought only of her beauty and youth. She owned a magic mirror that always told the truth. Each day to her mirror she would demand, "Who is the fairest lady in this land?" The mirror delivered an unwelcome surprise. "O queen, you know I can tell you no lies. There is no doubt you are fair of face, but Snow White's beauty has taken your place." The queen's beauty had always outshone the rest. She did not like to be judged second best. She thought of ideas as she paced the floor, of how to make herself fairest once more. The queen had the huntsman summoned to her. "Take Snow White to the forest and make sure she stays there. With Snow White's charms hidden by trees, my beauty will be all that the mirror sees." The huntsman, obeying the queen's request, invited Snow White for a stroll in the forest. "What a lovely idea," Snow White agreed, and they set off together at a leisurely speed. Snow White was enchanted by pretty forest flowers. The woodland animals entertained her for hours. Snow White smiled and breathed in the sweet forest air. When she next looked around, the huntsman wasn't there. As Snow White explored a little more, she soon came across a little round door. Inside was furniture as small as can be, the cutest little house you ever did see. Snow White thought if she tidied things away, the owners might be grateful and ask her to stay. Her animal friends helped her dust and sweep. When they finally finished, she needed a sleep. Seven kind dwarfs returned home from work that night to find Snow White asleep and their house clean and bright. What a wonderful surprise after a long, hard day. When this lovely girl awakes, we must invite her to stay. When Snow White awoke, she was amazed to see 7 funny little men, their faces full of glee. "Sweet girl, you have filled our home with good cheer. You're more than welcome to live with us here." Back in the palace, the queen asked who was most fair, and still Snow White appeared in the mirror before her. "I cannot allow this image to stay. I must find Snow White myself and fix this today." The queen dressed as an old woman with apples to sell, the most delicious-looking one, containing a spell. She set off through the forest to find Snow White, and soon had the dwarf's little home in sight. When the queen knocked, the door opened wide to reveal Snow White alone inside. "Pretty girl, won't you buy an apple from me? They're delicious and juicy. Try one and see." The apples were truly a tempting sight. So Snow White said thank you and took a big bite. Snow White fell into a magical sleep. The dwarfs couldn't wake her. The spell was too deep. One fine day a prince, who was handsome and good, was going for a ride on his horse through the wood. Through a window he saw the sleeping Snow White. The kind-hearted prince fell in love at first sight. As the prince gently kissed her, Snow White was woken. Because of true love's kiss, the spell was broken. Snow White and her handsome prince ruled hand in hand, spreading peace and goodness throughout the land. The palace was filled with love and laughter, and they all lived happily ever after.